Hello, my name is Vicky and I'm a Christian. And this series of videos is to all grandparents out there. Grandmothers, this is called Calling All Grandmothers, but grandfathers are welcome too. Today I wanted to encourage you about knowledge. At our ripe old ages, we've accumulated quite a bit of it. And we start off as babies who know very little. They're just born, they know nothing. But soon, very quickly, they learn to cry for the things that they need. And there are different cries. They've learned to cry differently for different things. And it's the mother eventually sort of knows and learns what those different cries mean, whether it needs changing or feeding or just needs company. And then they grow up into children, and children are like sponges. They just learn so much. They're so eager to learn. They're exploring. They just gather knowledge, without even trying. They're so eager to learn. Then they become teenagers. And of course, we know that teenagers know everything about and everything, and they think their parents know nothing. Now, if only they knew what we got up to when we were teenagers, they perhaps wouldn't be so smug. But they're still learning and they're going through tough times. I wouldn't want to go through teenagerhood again. And they're going through a different teenagerhood in a very different world from what we're growing up in. So we need to still have sympathy with these teenagers who are struggling to cope with what life throws at them. So this is where we come in as grandmothers. As adults, we've got some maturity, we've got some wisdom, and we've got a lot more patience because we've seen everything that life brings, the struggles, this world is far from perfect, and the technology these days makes being a teenager really, really hard because there are pressures not only from the adults in authority over them, the teachers, the police, the parents, grandparents, or whatever. There are so many pressures, and also peer pressure is so much greater now, perhaps, than when we were growing up. So we can be this calming influence on teenagers in our family. As adults, we're maturer, we're wiser, and then we grow even older, and we're still learning, but we've accumulated this amount of knowledge in our heads, that it's up there somewhere, and sometimes we have difficulty pulling it all out, but hey ho, we're still learning. And as I became a Christian and started learning about God, I realized how much more there is to learn. I have been studying, various passages in the Bible over quite a few years now, and I'm still learning. I'm still learning. But I just was reading Psalm 139 this morning, and I realize how much God knows. You see this world around us, this creation that He's created is absolutely beautiful, and it's still winter and all wrapped up warm, but you can see shoots of little snowdrops and daffodils, stretching their way up through very, very hard, tough earth, through snow, through, these plants that God created. They're just miraculous. Even a shoot of grass can poke its way up through concrete. How, that amazes me. Little daisies grow up everywhere. But this creation that God provided for us is for our enjoyment. And this is how much He loves us. But I just wanted to read to you some verses. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but what I will do is I will put the whole psalm in the text below this video. So if you just click, I think it's show more or something, and then the whole psalm will be there, and you can read it and find out how much God knows about you. So yeah, I'm just going to read you some verses now, just because you'll be amazed. You'll be amazed how much God knows about you. So here, it's Psalm 139. O Lord, you have searched me and known me. You know when I sit down and when I get up. You understand my thoughts from far off. So He knows what we're thinking. And you search my path and my lying down, and you're aware of all my ways. We may not know ourselves that well, but He is aware of all our ways. For there is not a word on my tongue, but behold, Lord, you know it fully. So before we even speak that word out of our mouths, God knows it before we even say it. Where is it? You put yourself behind and before me. You keep your hand on me. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me. So, God is watching over us every second of every day. How does he do that over the whole population of the whole world? But he does. He's an almighty God, ever present. So it says here in further on in that psalm, you brought my inner parts into being. You wove me in my mother's womb. So he created us before we were even born. I will praise you, for you made me with fear and wonder. We are fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are your works, and you know me completely. Now, we may think that our best friend knows us, or our spouse, the person we have chosen to spend the rest of our life with. We may think they know us the best out of anyone in this world. But no, God knows us even better. And it says here, your eyes saw me and formed. Yet in your book all my days were written before any of them came into being. How precious are your thoughts to me, O God. So God knew what we were going to do before we even do it. He knew before we were even born what we were going to do and what our lives were going to pan out like. So, before any of them came into being, this I'll list all this psalm in the text below, but just how we struggle through life now, as mature grandparents, we have been through very much, and we know most things will not shock us anymore, and we can go through life slightly calmer. We should ask God before we do anything. If we have a crisis, we should ask God, how should we go through this crisis if we're unsure? God is ever present. It says there he knows everything before we even think it, before we even speak it. So if we are going to say anything to anybody or give any advice to our family members, why not ask God before we even say it, before we even do it? Should we be saying this? We're the grandparents in our families, and so we kind of have a role to play in being the wise ones in our family and giving good advice. So why not take our advice from the best source? Why don't we take our advice that we can impart to our family from the Almighty God, who knows us, who knows the situations, who knows everything before it's going to happen. So he will be the best source to go to in a crisis or in troubles or in sorrows. Go to him first before we do anything, because he's made us. It says we're fearfully and wonderfully made, and he knows everything about us. So why not just ask him what we do next? And you can be sure if God tells us what to do next, it's going to be the right thing, not only for us, but for the rest of our family too. So I encourage you today, I'll list this psalm underneath this text, and just be amazed at how much God knows about us and wants to help us go forward with the rest of the family. And a conversation with God is kind of, you just talk to him like you would to a best friend. You can walk in the garden, do the laundry, do the washing up, and still talk to God. So he's never far away. I encourage you today to get to know him a bit more. God bless you. Have a great day. Here the sun is shining, so wherever you are, be blessed and have a great day.